Yeehaw! I let this car pass. Okay. Here we are again. Let's do our classic. Hello, stellar people, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Trey, and today we are streaming on a very hot southwest coast night. And this is the ArtStream episode 14. And today we're going to do Beautiful Beast Kiss character designs. But first, let's take a look at how we got here. How did we get here? So, all art projects start off the same, and that is with a one sheet, right? The goal for this project or whatever is a comic book, a graphic novel. It's going to be short, a 25 pager. It all starts as a one sheet, and here I have the two sheets because it's each one is 13 pages or 12 pages if we want to keep it like an even a dozen, so dozen. And this is Beautiful Beast Chapter 4, Under the Sea. And we have our list of stuff, right? This is how I always start my projects. So my list is the characters and then the story. And the characters, Beautiful Beast Kiss, Moktun and the Demon Cat, and also one other character. And I just throw out story ideas about what could happen. And just list them, just write it out. And then after I write out ideas, then I do these little thumbnails. And then the little thumbnails get translated after I do this little page turn idea. Right? I like to have an idea of what the page numbers, how does the page turns. And then I make a larger version of that and I plug in just ideas about what could happen. And so I do that within these little, there's not even really panels. It's just little sketches. And so I did that for pages 1 through 12. And then on the second part, which is usually a battle of some sort, I have the same title, the characters, the story in brief, just written out, the characters, little tiny thumbnails, ideas on pages. This again going from 13, because your right hand page is always going to be an odd page, and your left hand page is always going to be a even page, so that I understand where my pages are. Having a visual always helps me out. Always. Oh man, so because I can always get confused about, okay, what page is on? I like to have an idea of what the pages are. So then I do the larger pages and I plug in these thoughts and ideas into the pages. So that's how my comics start. I also have like a version for character design itself, but the two things are linked. So let's go over the characters. And the characters are Beautiful Beast Kiss, which is in the center, right? This is our lead character, our heroine. And then her friends that she meets on her adventures. So Beautiful Beast Kiss is in the center. On the right side, lower right is, lower screen right, is Moktun, a little mythical, what would you call him? A bull turtle with a flaming tailed creature. Upper right, screen right, is Starbot. He is not within this chapter, but I like to have my characters together. And then on the screen left is DC, the Demon Cat. And the idea is Beautiful Beast Kiss, when she jumps through different dimensions, she changes her form and she goes on a short little brief adventure. So this was like an earlier version. And so here's another version. Same for characters, slightly different appearance. Right? And that is the initial concept. Again, Beautiful Beast Kiss in the center. Lower screen right is Moktun. Upper screen right is Starbot. Screen left is DC Demon Cat. And then some ideas about her. Right. Beautiful Beast Kiss is the title. The character design. And so for this is the character design for chapter, I believe it was 2 or 3. I believe it was 2. So for chapter 2, this is what Beautiful Beast Kiss looked like. And I usually have an image that is a, I guess you would call it like a splash image, a key image. And so this was a victory pose. And I like to have a splash victory pose for each chapter. So there's this one for chapter 2. Chapter 3, these are the character designs for chapter 3 and the 4 major characters. There was also the villain and the Moon Princess, who these 3 work for. So going from left to right, screen left to screen right, Beautiful Beast Kiss and her design for chapter 3, Bunny, the Moon Rabbit, Birdie, and DC on the far right. All right, so these are what the characters' designs look like for chapter 3. And then for that chapter, again, a splash key victory pose image. I like to have that for each chapter. So this is what she looked like in that chapter, chapter 3. But for chapter 4, I have no idea what she looks like. I know that she goes from a simplified form, and as she goes higher in chapter numbers, she gets taller and less adolescent looking. So if we look at chapter 2, how she looked, right? There's more of a chibi deformation in her appearance. And then going to chapter 3. And chapter 4, she wanted to look a step above this. So maybe early, right? This is about what, 10-ish, I would say. So maybe 11, 12, 13-ish. Maybe low teens. So I try to get that idea as, now let's design. Today is going to be just a design day, and I figure it's going to be fairly short. So usually, the 3 characters that are in it, if we look back to the character brief, Beautiful Beast Kiss, Moktun, and Demon Cat, Demon Tiger, and a Sea Sage. And I think the Sea Sage will look like a mer person, a merman, something like to that effect. And I'm not too worried about that because that's a changeling. But the main cast. So let's say, let's take this one. We'll use this one as a sort of template. So we'll make a duplicate, layer, duplicate layer. We will make that layer invisible. Take this layer and we will shrink it down. So Command T for the transform. Hold Shift to lock it. Holding Shift. All right. So now I have a little tiny version. And we're also going to put this into our character design layer. Yes, we'll apply transformation. Put this in the character design file. We can collapse that down. Whoa. We can also turn this off. Okay, so for character designs. Machton and DC are going to fairly be the same. The one that changes the most is Beautiful Beast Kiss. So let's go to, well, let's start with, I usually try to start simply and then move to more advanced. So let's start with Machton. Machton, hit the P twice. Oh yes, as a program, I'm using Clip Studio Paint for this. Okay, hit P twice for the real pencil tool. We'll scale this down and I'll go over to the black pencil. And in the beginning, we don't want anything too extensive, right? We're just gonna sketch this out. So Machton's gonna look about the same, but he is in this chapter. He's a little bull turtle creature. And he has large eyes. And his nose. And he always looks either surprised or scared. And see, in the beginning, I don't know exactly what they look like, so it doesn't quite matter at this moment. And you usually have this, a timid crossing his butt. His arms are crossing his body. And sometimes he's in the very beginning, we're not too concerned with how the look is. We just want an idea. And I think in this one, his eyes will be large. He's got his little stubby horns. Okay, DC, which is on another layer. And let's see what it'll look like. Sure, we'll probably keep this, the same one. Maybe his head is more of a circle-ish shape. He's taller than Machton because he's slightly older. He's also got a horn on his head. And usually I have him reading a book or something. He's a magical demon cat, and so he reads grimoires or spell books and whatnot. But let's say he has his hands in his pockets or something. Now a lot of this chapter he's going to be sitting down with his legs crossed, but I like the full form as a standing when I design characters. And his costuming doesn't really change, but he's got this short hair. That is neat on one side and rugged and has more curl on the other. And now sometimes for Beautiful Beast Kiss, I have her ears on top of her head in a more tiger-ish or cat-like design. And in other dimensions, he has ears on the side of her head in a more humanistic form. And since this one is under the sea, I'm going to make the ears more on the side. And I try to keep that style the same for both Beautiful Beast Kiss and Demon Cat. So their ears are going to be on the side of their head. Okay. And DC usually has his classic non-wide-eyed look. And he's demon-ish, so he has the sclera is black instead of white. And he shows very little emotion. So straight eyebrows. Right, a very neutral stance to his look. Now, Beautiful Beast Kiss. Let's keep that circle in mind. And again, it's not. I think what I should have done is written out some ideas to start before drawing. But we're already in it right now, so now let's have her bold hands on hips. A wide stance. All right, hands on hips, wide stance. Now, I think, yeah, it would be a good time to ideas that can affect the designs, right? Sometimes it's good to have an idea. Let's move this. K is the move. All right. So let's move that a little bit. Double P for the pencil tool. It helps to take some notes. New layer. Let's call it notes. N-O-T-E-S. Okay, so for chapter 4, CH4, it's going to be under the sea. So the sea. And for her, since she's a tiger girl with wings, I figure she's going to be aquatic, or like a mer person or a shark, more shark in design. So shark tiger or tiger shark. So shark teeth. And a shark tail. Shark tail. And what else? And the wings on her back, which are usually feathery wings, while DC has little bat wings, little red bat wings. So let's say her wings are now like penguin or like fins on either a shark or a shark fin. While everybody else is pretty much the same, she will be the most changed. Okay. So she usually has large eyes. Maybe she'll have slightly creepy pupils. And a very a simplified, jagged shark teeth. Like in a smile pose, something like that. And since she's underwater, I don't think she'll have a lot of hair. So maybe the hair will be closer on the sides. But we want like some kind of so maybe it's like a dorsal fin or something, where in water it's kind of free form and flowing. Something like that. Maybe. And her costume is usually athletic wear, and then she has a dress and a tank top. So she can probably have the undergarment as some kind of like a wetsuit. Let's write that down. Wetsuit. And I write things down so I don't forget them, even if I move on to something. I'm not sure what kind of dress. I guess it doesn't really matter. And the tail is a shark tail, right? So it's going to be slightly thicker and then end in like maybe a half moon circle or something. Right. And this is how my designs usually start off. Not too and yeah. All right, so now that I have an idea, oh, and I did this on the notes layer, didn't I? Yes, I did. I try to keep things separated, and it doesn't usually work sometimes. Okay, so we're gonna collapse them down. So notes get collapsed down to layer below, layer below, layer below. There we go. And then we'll take this layer, name it all together, all Alcata, duplicate it, layer, duplicate layer, and again, M for the, let's go, lasso. So I hit the M for the marquee tool, but I don't want the rectangle or the ellipse, I want the lasso. So I can lasso all of this. And then Command T to transform, hold Shift, because I want to lock it. And because my art goes through iterations, I always like to keep an earlier version while also have something I can design on top of. So now we have another layer. Hit return and Command D to deselect. Let's make another. I think that'll be fine. Okay. So once I have like an idea of where I'm going, right, I can keep working on this. But sometimes I like to have an idea of like other art that I can influence, you know, will influence the chapter. So like if I was doing cyberpunk, say Battle Angel Alita, right? I could look at that style and then try to translate that to this character and then do designs, right? If there was some kind of correlation, right? If she was going to like say a cyberpunk world, I can try to fuse those elements into the design. So say for an undersea adventure, I could look at, say, you know, undersea stuff like The Little Mermaid, 1,000 Leagues Under the Sea, whatever I can think of that has mer people, Namor, the Submariner, which is a Marvel comic, what is Aquaman from DC, stuff like that. I can look at those things and then see how they can influence, right, the designs. And sometimes I'll go to things I've never even thought of. So double P for the pencil. And let's work on her a little bit more. And I have some ideas on what I think I would like, but I'll do some sketches and then come back with maybe a better idea. But for now, I'm going for a slightly more rounded and then sharp. So, especially for her. I want her hair to slightly. Because she's going to be in water, so things are kind of weightless. And since she's underwater, she doesn't really need a nose, per se. So I think it'll just be like not as pronounced. And maybe not really eyebrows, but just a line. Again, I want ears, but say like Namor. Namor has some pointed ears. And I used to read a lot of Namor comics when I was younger. And I remember Namor had like these little wings on his ankles. So instead of wings on her back, she could also, like Mercury, have some kind of wings. It's an idea. It's an idea. Again, we're not the wetsuit. I don't know how far it will extend. Let's say it cuts off at the body. And then maybe a short green top. And now I think Namor and Aquaman have these little green trunks, which would kind of match because she has a little green dress. But let's say she has this wetsuit underneath. Maybe the wetsuit looks like scales. Maybe. And she'll probably have webbed feet and hands. Right now, it looks like she has some shoes or something. Let's erase that a little bit. Double P for the pencil tool. And since there is that weightlessness in underwater, much like the moon, or her dress kind of just floated. And the shark tail maybe has a couple of stripes on it. So maybe something like that. And her hair. This is what I would call a first pass. Just to get an idea. And sometimes when you get an idea, it'll lead to more ideas, which lead to more ideas. And at this point, it doesn't have to look anything like it'll look in. Just to get the ideas out. Okay. And you see she has an armlet on her, like a sweatband on one arm, one that has her cat's eye dimensional traveling tool jewel on her left, and I forget what they call these, like where prisoners have like a ball and chain. That's what she has on her right leg. Now sharks have dark eyes, don't they? But I still want that green, so I'll probably leave it as is. I think we can fix the. Okay. Sweetheart. I think I like it better the other way. So she has her tiger shark teeth, I'm sorry. So something like that. It's not bad. Should we try another version? Let's see. Let's say layer duplicate. Okay. So always keep one version just so you can go back just in case. And let's erase all of this and then try another version. Lasso tool. And delete. Command D. And let's start again. Okay, so how could we do it slightly differently? Let's say, oh, no. Hit the P again for the real pencil. Let's take that over just a little bit. Okay. And once I have an idea, I can then look for reference or just inspiration, anything that can help out, give me some ideas. Again, she's just a little bit taller. Arms. Right, this is her classic pose. And I usually always start with the face first. Well, not always, but most times I find the face most interesting, so that's usually where I start. So maybe a little bit taller. Let's see. And I try to, again, go for overall shape. So she has pointed ears. And then maybe her hair. Maybe it looks like a flame or something. Which might be interesting for an underwater. Maybe. Let's say this is the nose line where the eyebrows will sit and the mouth will be somewhere about here. Maybe just two little marks for the nose and the eyes. I don't know. Maybe there's more. I don't know. Okay. Again, the wetsuit comes to about the neck, and a tank top, like loose shirt over that. The wetsuit comes down to maybe just above the ankle. And then the dress. And then again, the tiger shark tail, which is thicker than her normal tail. So maybe you guys like this. So y'all probably gather reference and ideas. Like I'm just as I'm drawing, I'm thinking of stuff like if anyone's ever seen there's an anime called, what was it, Blue Sub number 6, that I remember from way back. And I thought that had some pretty cool mermaid-like designs. But yeah, whatever you can think of, right? Just because we're at a stage where anything goes, anything can happen. It might not look good at the moment, but it's a start. And a dark blue wetsuit underneath. I'm interested to see what this looks like at the end. Because right now we're just spitballing. And whether it'll look somewhat like this or not anything like it, who knows? Okay. I'm not too worried about DC and Mach 10 as of yet. DC has his classic 2 tails. And his little wings. And Mach 10 usually look the same in any dimension that he's in, so not too worried about that one. So let's take a look at what we'll see what it looks like. Okay. I believe Namor had like some elf-like ears, if I'm not mistaken. And the hair will come out just past the ears. So for a continuous shape. Okay. And she has gills on her neck, but we probably won't see a lot of that. And I'll probably take some look at sharks, tiger sharks, great white sharks, to get an idea about their design, and see if I can incorporate some of that into this. Even though I find the ocean quite terrifying, I do not like it. I do not like the ocean. Okay. I don't know. And maybe this part can be darker and larger. I don't know, but yeah, that is design document number 1, or part 1. I don't know. But I'll keep playing with it, and then we'll see what happens with it next week. I should also have like some kind of idea on a design document, or character design reference folder or something to that effect. Erase. Double P. All right. Okay. So that was part 1 of Beautiful Beast Kids Chapter 4, Under the Sea comic, character designs. And again, the most vital character is our lead, Beautiful Beast Kiss herself. And since how she adapts to being in a new environment, which will be under the sea, that's the most, I figure once I get her unlocked, or have a better idea of her, then everything else should probably fall into place. Also, like a style guide, I'm going to go for a colorful undersea world, or maybe more cartoony, maybe more realistic. I don't know. I don't know yet. But it's always interesting. All right. So yeah, next week we'll probably continue with this. Episode 15 will be part 2 of character designs, and we'll go over style ideas for the overall look, ideas on character designs, like references, bringing them in for maybe a collage of what I could be going for, and then we'll whittle that down further. And yeah, it will be right. This part of the discovery is always interesting, It's always just fun. It's kind of like playing around with your toys and making new stuff. So thank you for joining me. I have been Trey Hodges. You can find my work at treyhodges.com. Power to all of the creators, and I will see you in next week's episode. Take care and keep shining. Bye.